You've got more talent than most guys on the court, and you use as little of it as possible.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Steph Curry does not have a number two. And if you're saying Andrew Wiggins is number two, well, that's why you're
This is when you need him more than ever. If there's ever a time for Wiggins to be that version of himself that Warriors fans love, that was the second best player in the 2022 postseason, it's now. This is when you need your second best player, and he responds with 9 points. He's been scoring in single digits now, I think, for 3 of the last 4 games. This is the idea that Andrew Wiggins, of all players, is untouchable is absurd. And I bring that up because you mentioned Jimmy Butler. There's also Zion Williams who's still out there. If you want to make a drastic big move, Wiggins has to go for that salary slot, right? You got to match salaries. And Wiggins is making, 24, I think, or 26 million this year. That has to be included. Also, Wiggins has 2 more years remaining on his deal after this season. So you're getting that off your books too, and you get a chance to maybe pursue a Miles Turner in free agency this offseason. All I'm trying to say is don't pretend that Andrew Wiggins is untouchable. If you want to turn this thing around, you have to at least explore the idea of trading him.
Like you said, Andrew Wiggins is not only a disappointment now, I'm predicting a disappointment over the next 2 years. Andrew Wiggins will have a game that makes you want to believe in him again, and then he'll have a week that makes you go, this is why you've been a disappointment since Kansas.
Except for 1 year.
You've got more talent than most guys on the court, and you use as little of it as possible. And when you are needed most, when you are in an excuse me while I whip this out situation, you don't whip it out. And it's just, I think Andrew Wiggins, to ask him to ever be the leader is just asking for trouble. Andrew Wiggins every now and then can hop in that sidecar and really help along the ride. But the minute he's given directions, you're getting lost.
And Damon, just to add to that, Wiggins is 29. I don't want to see what Wiggins in his 30s is like. Just to let folks know, do not pretend Wiggins in his 30s is somehow going to be the better version. No. If you can get out from that contract, do it, please. But look, I'm not sitting here like making Wiggins the focal point. What I am saying is this team needs to make some drastic moves here. There are options out there. Stop waiting.
You have this precious asset and resource that you are squandering here, and there is really no other star in the league who doesn't have a number 2.
Yeah, you're right.
Steph Curry does not have a number 2. And if you're saying Andrew Wiggins is number 2, well, that's why you're like that right there. If Andrew Wiggins is your number 2 guy, your number 1 needs another number 2 guy as fast as you can get it for him, because Wiggins is just not a tone-setting type of leader. And even in the piece, I cut some pieces out of it because I thought there were some interesting paragraphs. Curry is 16 seasons into this and 36 years on Earth. And these young players right now have a generation seeping into the next. And Curry has to fight for every inch. Nobody else, not Luka, not Kyrie, not Tatum or LeBron, puts up with this much aggravation. There's pressure from baseline to baseline. That's a given. But his double teams routinely now start at half court, if not 3/4 court. You got a bunch of guys out there, young guys, trying to prove, I'm going to lock up Steph Curry so freaking hard. And Curry even said, these young guys are looking at me like a dog looks at a bone. Like they are looking to eat my lunch. And if they do, their reputations take a big step forward in their own locker rooms.
As they should. They should.
I mean, but you got guys that was even highlighted in the piece. Like, you got guys not even watching the ball anymore. They're just focused on Steph's hips, and they're chasing Steph Curry's hips no matter where they go, because hips don't lie. No one can ever run in the direction their hips aren't facing.
And what I'm seeing, like you said, man, he's not only getting double teamed. This is why I'm not like all on board with this narrative that Stephen Curry's like totally on the decline. Like, I'm not sitting here pretending he's still at the peak of his powers, but I'm also trying to remind people he's getting doubled, sometimes triple teamed on every possession. And he's lost so much faith in his teammates, sadly, that he's no longer even trying to include them. He's just like, screw this. It's either me or nothing. And this whole situation is sad, dude. It's unfortunate.
Final thing I want to read from that ESPN.com article is this, and I think that this sums up everything. I mean, if you really needed to put like the, what is the banner that the Warriors are operating under this year? Here it is. Curry has always been the focus of everything around him, but never before as he is now on a flawed Warriors team that is contending with a paradox. They're determined to use him less than ever at a time when it needs him the most. So this is where you want Curry at 28 minutes a night. That is almost a death sentence for the Warriors because he needs to be playing 35 minutes a night and playing well for the Warriors to even have a chance to be contending in the fourth quarter. I think I heard Fitz say last night that the Warriors have one win this season when they're trailing after three quarters.
Oh, that's not a good. There's a lot of data that is very depressing. Now the good news is Damon is Mark. I don't know if you saw this report. Mark Spears was on ESPN yesterday, breaking a report that virtually no one talked about except for me. I don't know why, but he revealed that the Warriors are specifically pursuing a big.
Is it Vucevic? Because that's it.
One of them.
I mean, that is the guy.
Well, there's a couple others. There are some other intriguing ones.
Okay.
So there's Vucevic, and he said in the report that's at the top of the list. I don't know what the Warriors are waiting for. I feel like with every day that passes, you're losing leverage here. And this is one of the reasons why just sitting on your ass, you're resting on your laurels, just pretending something's going to happen is going to spell doom for you. It's not a good approach. Mark Spears said that Vucevic is at the top of the list, but he also added that Walker Kessler and John Collins of the Jazz are players that the Warriors are looking at. Jonas Valanciunas of the Wizards is someone they're looking at. And the only other name that I'm intrigued about is Miles Turner of the Pacers, who I overlooked this, and I apologize for that. I did not realize Miles Turner was going to be an unrestricted free agent after this season. That does make him a player who could be available. I know Warriors fans have clamored for him for years. My point is, I do think until Kuminga comes back, and if you're not going to trade Wiggins, which, again, I really think the Warriors should at least explore that. I'm not saying push him out the door, but what I am saying is if you can get like a Jimmy Butler, a Zion Williamson for him, do not waste that opportunity because that's never coming back. This is a rare season where teams are tanking. They're playing capture the flag. You coined that term brilliantly. Take advantage of that. And Nikola Vucevic and Miles Turner are the two that I'm looking at because Stephen Curry in his entire career has never had a stretch five. Andrew Bogut, JaVale McGee, David West, who would be a center in today's NBA, they were fine centers, great passing centers, as well as many other skill sets, but they didn't shoot the three. Steph's never had that. And to add a player like a Vucevic or a player like Miles Turner, who not only will improve your defense, I know this sounds crazy with Vucevic, but the fact that he's a big at 7 feet, it allows Draymond to become your free safety, metaphorically speaking, defensively. That makes your defense as a whole a million times better. And it allows Trayce Jackson-Davis to develop the pace that he needs to, so this pressure is not on him night after night to defend the best bigs in the NBA. But to have a stretch five alongside Steph, sign me up. I think you can salvage things until Kuminga comes back if you're not going to make other moves. One last thing Mark Spears said is Dennis Schroeder's contract might be used in a future trade. That was encouraging. What's your reaction to all that?
So, yeah, I mean, I think Schroeder is a guy that you're looking at as a short timer now. I mean, he has hardly shown up and been impressive in any way. So, yeah, he is back in the, go fish pile, if you will. Put him back in the boneyard. I'll say this. I know enough people still in Indianapolis that Miles Turner is like a headache that they kind of want to get rid of.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is the right prescription to what how about this? If you're telling me I got to take a risk, I would rather take a risk on Zion and all the baggage than Miles Turner, who is normally healthy, but how much dog he has in the fight is something that is discussed way too often in Indiana. Yep. Whether that guy really wants to play is something in Indiana that people are really good detecting. You know, this guy wants to play basketball tonight is something that grandmothers can identify easily in Indiana, and they don't see it in him enough.
Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.